Well, hello, welcome once again to Pale Blooms and Beyond. Thank you for joining us today. Graeme Douglas is an English guitarist and songwriter. Most notably, Graeme was a founding member and lead guitarist of the band Kursaal Flyers in 1973 and played with the band until 1976. That same year, Graeme joined Eddie and the Hot Rods as guitarist and was a member until 1980. In 1986, Graeme released a single as The Engineers. In the years since, Mr. Douglas has played in live reformations of Eddie and the Hot Rods and on a tour with ex-Kursaal Paul Shuttleworth in 2001. Also, it's worth noting that Graeme is the older brother of Andrew and Stuart Douglas, also known as the Douglas brothers, renowned photographers and video and filmmakers. In the new millennium, Graeme has released two solo albums, G2 in 2000 and in 2012, Eclectic. My guest is currently re-recording his favorite songs over his career for an anthology compilation. Well, welcome, Graeme.
I'm very pleased to be here.
Thank you for joining me and taking time out to do this. Well, take us back to the beginning. Where were you born?
In Southend, Essex,
Okay.
which is 40 miles east of London on the Thames, River Thames estuary.
Okay.
I mean, some people like to claim that the estuary, the Thames estuary, is similar to like New Orleans. And is has that sort of down home, swampy type of feel to it. But actually, that's not true.
That's not true. I was going to say they don't have their own Mardi Gras.
No, afraid not.
Well, do you have fond childhood memories growing up?
I was quite lucky in that, although my family wasn't particularly rich, I did have an enjoyable childhood. Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember hearing music in the house early on?
Well, my mother and my grandfather. My grandfather was a famous songwriter himself, with a a studio up in Denmark Street, the English Tin Pan Alley.
Right, Tin Pan Alley, exactly. Yeah.
And he wrote a few songs for Sinatra and people of that nature. Very, very, very sort of mid-50s was his famous when he got his great hits. But he used to write songs for the soldiers in the Second World War as well.
Is that right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. I just wonder, did Vera Lynn ever sing one of his?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Vera Lynn actually borrowed money off him.
Oh, did she?
She was apparently traipsing around Denmark Street trying to get a gig.
Uh-huh.
And he took her into the local coffee bar and bought her a meal and gave her, I don't know, a few pounds, maybe a fiver or so, to so she wouldn't go hungry while she was trying to get a gig.
Is that right? Okay.
True,
Well,
true.
she owes something to your dad then.
Indeed.
Well, what was the first musical instrument you learned to play?
Well, I was taught on piano when I was about 7.
Okay.
And I managed to do 2 or 3 years of piano tuition. Unfortunately, most of the music that I had to play was not that beat oriented.
Right. I have heard stories of that. It's a little restricting, and it's you kind of want to branch out and do your own thing. And yeah,
Yes, I mean, I never really started listening to uh, pop music um, until we had. I mean, the radio was on, and we used to listen to um, various of the shows then. Um, this was about the time of Lonnie Donegan and
the
the
skill.
various
Yeah, yeah,
skiffle groups.
yes. I've heard how influential he's been too. Well,
Well,
can you?
yes, I mean that was maybe. I mean they all took their took their took their ideas from various, well, basically American musicians, really.
Yeah,
So we just got the English versions.
yeah, yeah. Well, can you remember maybe a little later the first single or album that you bought?
Um, Let me see. I think in those days I was a bit poor, so I think the first first single I actually bought was The Shadows, I think.
Okay, right. I've heard how definitely how influential they were, and Hank Marvin.
Yes.
Yes. He's still around. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he was a good boy, wasn't he?
Right.
Never did any rock and roll.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, uh, I like their solo, you know, their material as a band. Not so much the backing Cliff Richard. I mean, some of that's good, but I like it more their instrumentals. You know.
Well, I mean, they obviously took great inspiration from Dick Dale and the Ventures and people of that nature.
Right. And some of those earlier like surf music and
Yeah.
surf bands. Yes. Well, how about one of the first or maybe an early concert that you attended that you went to?
Um, Let me see. Down in Southend, um, we had uh, what was to become like pub rock,
Pub rock. Yeah.
and um, we had people like um, Peter Green, for example,
Oh,
was
Fleetwood Mac.
yes. I
Yeah.
mean, Fleetwood Mac would come down and play. We saw Status Quo before
Oh,
they got famous,
yes.
and the Nice.
The Night with Keith Emerson.
Keith
Yeah.
Emerson.
Yeah.
Oh, what else? What else was there? Um, I even saw Jimi Hendrix
Oh,
in 1967, I think.
that right. You're fortunate. Yeah. Well, you know, one thing I'm very envious of you guys there because back in the day, there was a concert almost every night. You know, I mean, it was and here we rarely get many good concerts. You know, unless they're really commercial. But you guys could go. I mean, you had that happening all the time over there. Well, how about the music scene around you? As a teenager and before you start, we're in a band. How about that?
Well, first off, we started off trying to copy um, every top 10 single.
Yeah,
We would try to play them if they were quite simple in the chord structure.
yeah.
I mean, I started off playing piano in this little band called what were they called? I've forgotten the name of the band. Um, there was uh, Saints and
Oh,
Sinners.
Saints and Sinners. Okay.
Saints and Sinners, yes.
Okay. Okay.
You know, I played piano, and because none of the others wanted to sing, it was left to me to try and sing all these songs.
Uh-huh.
And because of that, so I managed to listen to the songs and work out the chords,
Oh, okay.
which has always become, you know, was one of my great talents as when in future bands they said, do you know the chords to this? And I said, well, play me the song and I'll tell you.
Uh-huh. And then that was
You know, that was good. I mean, I at the time I liked, um, well, I obviously learned a few Beatles songs and Stones songs,
yeah.
and then from then got introduced to Chuck Berry and BB King, and very, you know, the whole R&B, when R&B wasn't was like rhythm and blues rather than R&B.
Right, right. Well, that's interesting because I've heard stories about Chuck Berry playing over there. He didn't have his own band, so he would have to put a band together from the locals
Oh, of
over.
course, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's his. He was. We the Hot Rods managed to do a little tour of Germany with him,
Oh, okay.
and the story went that the the band that he was playing with were um, were on holiday. They were bricklayers from Romford, I think, and playing.
Bricklayers.
They were you know, semi-pro, and he said, you know, I will um, pay you £150 each a night,
Yeah.
and you get out there, you arrange all your hotels and all that, and Chuck Berry would turn up at uh, the state, not enough stadium, at the Hole,
Okay.
and he would expect the backing band to know every song that he ever wrote,
Oh, okay.
and he would just 5 minutes before he was due to go on stage, the promoter had to give him the money in cash
Oh, up
in a
front.
suitcase
Yeah. In a suitcase.
before he would even pick up his guitar and go on stage.
Even agreed to do it. Wow. I didn't know that about him.
Well, I suppose he was ripped off so many times
Yeah. Yeah.
that you know, that was the way he found to do it.
Yeah, to assure that he got paid.
Yeah.
Uh, Going back to after the Saints and Sinners, you were in the Fugitives.
Now that was a band that was, you know, purely covers band,
Okay.
and again I was doing most of the when we wanted a new song to do, I would I was playing piano in those days,
Okay.
and you know, I would do the arranging, and I didn't do much of the singing in those days, but I just was you know, was there trying to look like an outcast from the Small Faces.
Okay. Was that an influential Steve Marriott? Was
Oh
he?
right, yes.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of time for the Small Faces. You know, I liked 65, The Who,
Oh,
Small Faces, most of the mod bands.
the mod bands. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, you enrolled at Brentwood College of Education, and it was there that you talked the powers that be into allowing you to run a gig one Saturday.
Yes. Yes.
Who played that gig?
It was Dr. Feelgood.
Oh, okay, okay.
And at the time, it was um, my band, whose name I've forgotten now.
If you
It had Will Birch on drums
okay,
and a sax player called Stuart and a bass player called Dave Murdoch, who was who I think has turned out to be reasonably successful journalist in the West Country somewhere. But
okay,
he and Will managed to write Speedway,
okay,
was the you know the set closer for the Kursaals.
okay, okay. Surly Bird.
Early bird.
Okay, was that it? Was that
It
it?
was a yeah, such a
Okay.
stupid name.
Okay, that's all right. No, I don't. I mean, a lot of these names, maybe at the time it sounded, you know, sillier now, but I don't think, even with time, a lot of these are okay. Who now? And you just mentioned who was in that band. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
Okay,
mean,
that's interesting.
apparently it was meant to be a word play on the early bird catches the worm,
Oh, okay, okay.
and they I mean, I think it was Will or Dave Murdoch changed it to, I think probably under the influence of mind-altering substances.
The James.
Uh, the surly bird matches the germ.
Oh, okay, okay. All right.
There you go. I mean,
That
nothing
was
to do with me. I plead
that
not
was
guilty.
yeah. You plead not guilty to that. You were not involved. Well, how long how long did you guys play together?
That was only 2 years perhaps.
Okay, okay. Then you didn't record anything, right?
Well, that was perhaps we sort of evolved into what was to be known as Glory.
Okay.
So we actually did record that the Jeweler song.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, it was a nice cover too. And I love Tom Rapp. I love his, he's passed, but all of his material with Pearls Before Swines. I heard the song first from the This Mortal Coil album.
Ah,
Yeah, they did a cover of it too. And very unheralded artist. So, very,
we got introduced to the song by Peter Meaden,
okay.
who you might remember as was the original manager of the Who.
Yes, yes. Okay. So he was a follower. He was into Pearls Before Swines too.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And he introduced us to Tony Hall, which was um, hopefully to become our manager, but unfortunately, um, the band decided to uh, go separate ways before anything further could happen with that.
Oh, okay. So
I mean,
you,
at the time, I was becoming quite obsessed with the West Coast
yeah,
and
yeah.
country rock.
Right, right.
I mean, my I was obsessively listening to Jerry Garcia.
Okay. And who was that early American band that was Eggs Over Easy is who I'm thinking of. Yeah,
I never got to see them, but
yeah,
they were uh, basically they started the pub rock
yeah, yeah.
movement in London. Yes.
Right, right. I thought so. I thought so. Well, then came the beginnings of that scene, but Dr. Feelgood was
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
the first out of the gates. Uh, and then in 1974, your first live gig is the Kursaal Flyers.
Yes.
at the Blue Boar Hotel.
It sounds a lot posher than it actually was. It was just a bar in once upon a time. It might have been a hotel, but
Okay.
it was just a bar.
Okay.
We were just a bar band.
All right. They kept the hotel name on there so it sounded a little more posh.
Yes,
It
indeed.
sounded- well, how did the band go down at that live show?
Well, it was we played um, sort of one or two covers. Well, actually about 50% covers and 50% original material that Will and I had managed to put together.
Okay. Okay.
We did eclectic covers, I think, from Monkeys, I'm a Believer.
Oh, you did that. Okay.
Oh yes, and 24 Hours from Tulsa, 20 Flight Rock, various other songs of that nature.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, definitely you were influenced by a lot of the American and, like you said, the West Coast. You guys.
Well, yeah, I mean, we were listening, avid fans of the Byrds and the Burrito Brothers.
Oh yes, Blind Burrito Brothers. Yeah, Graham Parsons, one of my favorite.
Yes,
Oh wow. Well, at the time, you were also playing in another band, Eddie and the Blizzards.
yes, that was strange because suddenly I was trying to teach these children science
Ah,
during the daytime, and in the evenings I was rehearsing about four or five nights a week with two bands, and Eddie and the
Bliz-
Blizzard,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
were um, were a sort of southern rock um, band that liked, it, we got influences from Little Feat and
Allman
Marshall
Brothers.
Tucker Band, the Allman Brothers,
Yeah.
those sorts of
Oh,
boogie bands.
okay. Yeah, Little Feat, one of my favorites, though,
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, yeah. Well, you must have liked the name Eddie because later on you'd be with Eddie and the Hot Rods. Yeah. Uh, ultimately,
Dave Higgs.
right.
Uh, Dave Higgs saw Eddie and the Blizzards,
Uh-huh.
and uh, as he was forming what turned out to be the Hot Rods, he said, "Oh, that's a good name, Eddie and the Somethings.
Uh,
So we're going to play faster than them.
uh,
So we'll call it Eddie and the Hot Rods."
oh, okay. That's how it came to be.
Yes,
Okay. Yeah, that was his persona. Yes, yes. Well, ultimately, though, you ended up going with the Kursaals of those two. And you had
well,
some.
I didn't know
uh
of the Eddie and the Hot Rods until they started doing the London pubs.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even see them until I saw them at I think it was the Nashville Room,
Oh, okay. Okay. Well,
and I
talk
think
about.
they were doing head to head with AC/DC or something.
Ah, well, talk. You had some interesting incidents playing live with the Kursaals, didn't you? Weren't there some interesting stories on live shows, playing live?
Oh, playing live, I think uh, it was kind of strange when we started to do TV shows
Uh-huh.
because very often they wanted you to just mime to the record.
Right. Yep.
Then the musicians union started getting very uppity about it, and they said, this is not right. Um, People played on the records the session musicians played on the records, and we've got these pretty boys up on stage pretending to play the record.
Right, right.
And so they had to. Then you had to pre-record a backing track
Uh-huh.
and sing live over the top.
Oh, okay. That's right. That's right. So a lot of bands did that. They didn't actually record it. They were just a live band.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Well, how did the band get the interest of Jonathan King?
I'm not really sure. I think we were doing quite well on the pub circuits, and we were um, zooming up and down the M1 in our beat up old Transit
Yeah.
with the gear in the back, driving up, playing, coming back to London. Coming into the London as the sun comes up, and then we had to drive back down to Southend, and I had to quickly change my jacket into a teaching jacket and go and try and teach bored school children how to do physics.
Did you ever get to sleep?
Not very often, no.
Not very often. Oh my gosh, that kind of schedule, yeah. Well, Jonathan did sign the band to his UK records label.
That's right, yes.
Uh,
I mean, I think he was quite taken with Will, because he always used to try and ask for Will's opinion on various things.
okay.
I don't know. Perhaps I'm reading too much into it. He wasn't interested in myself or Richie or not even Paul Shuttleworth, really, because I don't think we were pretty enough for him.
You are pretty boys.
We weren't pretty boys. That was it.
Uh, well, the band's first album, Chalks Away, was produced by Hugh Murphy. And interesting doing these chats and interviews, the common threads and connections that I find. The more I do, the more I find. Hugh had produced the GT Moore Band.
That's right. Yes.
And I interviewed GT back in June of last year. I talked with him. He's in France, I believe, France. Yeah, so I talked to him last year. So yeah, the more I do, the more there's gonna these connections.
Well, there are in London. That everybody knows everybody, sort of.
Right. Eventually, I'll be talking to everybody. Well, that would be
Yeah.
nice. That would be. Well,
I think I saw you know the reggae guitars. I
yes,
was quite taken by them,
yes,
because they were doing something different.
they were. Yes, he did do something. He found a market doing that.
Yes.
But
Unfortunately, the Hugh Murphy wasn't as uh, good as we might have hoped.
oh, okay. You think that was part of the reason the album flopped? Didn't do so well.
Well, we didn't. This was the first time we'd been into a proper studio, a 16 tracker, and we just thought, oh well, we go in, we play like we play on stage, and they'll record it, and that's it.
Right, right. I would have thought the same thing, you know, but that's not the way it goes.
But no, that's where the producer is supposed to tell the band actually how he wants things to go.
Right.
And the first thing is that you get a good rhythm track,
Yeah.
and then you overdub on top of that. so that everybody does their best. But we didn't know this. We
Yeah.
just did it as we did it on stage.
Yeah.
So in the end, when he was trying to mix the song, he took the 16 tracks, went up to London to a mixing studio, and turned out this record that this master that had strange backing vocals, lots of girly singers, and this percussions and all sorts of stuff. And we weren't very happy with it.
I wouldn't have been either to hear that, because that's not what you guys were playing.
No. I mean, we were quite, we were quite rough and ready.
Yeah.
We didn't know too much about how to make records properly.
Right.
And we were looking for guidance.
Guidance,
And
exactly.
he was not giving us guidance. He was just, oh, I get this down, get this down, get this down. Oh, that's good enough. We'll finish it in the mix. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And
It didn't work. It didn't
it
work.
didn't work. No.
Well, we'll talk about the documentary. So You Want to Be a Rock and Roll Star.
Oh, that was very weird, very weird. Again, it was something I was not amazingly happy with, because as they started out, day one, they came to film everybody getting into a van, into our van. And I was thinking, yeah, this isn't a rock and roll documentary. This is like this is almost how can I put it? This is why do you want the background of this rock and roll band, or this country rock band?
Mm-hmm.
It should be about the band and the music, not
Right.
where we live,
Right.
things like that. And then suddenly they were filming the shows, and that was nice. And they got some good live footage of the band, but they did insist on having, like, the vox pop things, where everybody had to give their opinion of what they were doing and why they wanted to do it, and stuff like that. And having watched rock documentaries, I was thinking, hold on, you don't ask Steve Marriott what his mother did for Char Lady.
Yeah. Right.
You don't ask don't ask Jimi Hendrix what about his time in the US, what was it, the Air Force?
Right. I think so. Yeah.
So it all started to become a bit, I mean, I was a bit suspicious by this time, and I purposely tried to hide myself away.
Okay.
So I there was only one dressing room scene where I actually appeared in, I think.
You did a good job of hiding.
Yeah.
So you weren't real happy with the end product.
It wasn't the way I thought it would turn out.
Right.
because it's people want to watch a documentary about what things happen on the road.
Right.
They don't want backstory
Right.
much.
Right.
They want the sleeves.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, with the Kursaals, there was no sleeves.
there was none. You guys were clean.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, you did get to tour with a version of the Flying Burrito Brothers.
Well, yes, that was quite quite an eye opener. I mean, we just signed the recording contract, and suddenly we had some money, enough for a rudimentary PA system,
Okay.
and some roadies. And we turned up at the concert gebouw in Amsterdam with our pride and joy PA system, a 1 kilowatt
Kilowatt.
system, and the burritos came in and took one look at it and said, "Oh my fucking god, what is this? Can we get some more speakers? Can we get some monitors?"
Yeah. We'll blow that one out.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man.
In the end, they made do, and they played a great show. I mean,
Yeah,
we were so happy that to be sharing the stage with them.
right. Well, you the band became quite popular in Holland, playing over there.
Yes, we well, because the burritos
Mhm.
and the birds were very popular. That whole country rock thing was they were very happy to have a cut price burritos.
Yeah, I get hungry every time I mention the name. So, I have to go get. But what's interesting too about Holland and Amsterdam is you've probably heard these stories too about UK bands that were not known at home in there, but they go to Holland and play and they're like stars. You know, they were really well known and supported in Holland. Something about their fans there. But then they would go back to England and walk down the street and nobody know who they were. you so a lot of bands would go over there to play, you know, in in Holland, for that reason. Wow. But the second album found Jonathan King himself in the producer's chair.
Well,
Um,
yes, that wasn't quite so much as it sounds. In
uh-huh.
other words, he turned up maybe 2 days.
Okay, he wasn't there all the time.
No,
Do you recall the recording sessions for that one, the second?
it was a nice studio out um, in the wilds of the Cotswolds,
Okay.
and I think I forget who else had recorded there, but the Bay City Rollers were due to record there the week after we had,
Oh, okay.
and suddenly we got we you walk out the studio down the road to the pub, and there's all these Tartan Army,
Oh, right, right,
all these
right.
Bay City Roller, you know 12, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds,
Yeah.
and we were thinking, you've 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 got it wrong. They're next week.
they, they were there early.
Yeah, yeah. Trying to get a good space, I think.
They had the Tartan Army. We over here had the Kiss Army.
Oh,
Yeah. They called
oh dear, yes.
them. Well, Jonathan sold the band to CBS, and in turn, CBS wanted a hit single, right? I mean,
Of
that's
course, yes.
typical. An album was quickly assembled, and Golden Mile was released. And it does contain the single "Little Does She Know," with that throwback to that Brill building, that Phil Spector kind of sound, you know.
Well, the whole plan, when I was originally looking at Will's lyrics, I thought this has got to be massive. This has got to be Spector.
Yeah, yeah,
And I was trying to, because we'd met Mike Batt. He tried to rescue one of the songs off Great Artiste.
yeah.
One of the Cruising for Love.
Okay, okay.
I mean, he didn't actually manage to make anything happen out of that, which is a shame because I thought it was a good song.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, I'll tell you another track, Two Left Feet. That reminds me a lot of Tony Orlando and Don's Knock Three Times.
Oh,
You
right.
know, with that south of the border sound,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know?
I mean, the Kursaals would steal from anybody.
Okay.
I mean, I was basically I did most of the arranging,
Yeah,
and I would just if Will had a set of lyrics, and
yeah,
I wrote sort of eclectic type of, I wasn't doing hard R&B or blues or straight pop. I was looking to my favorite musics or
yeah,
music styles,
yeah, yeah,
and um, the other one on that song, on that album, "Fall Like the Rain." I mean,
uh-huh.
I was arranging that as an Otis Redding song.
Right, right. Yes, I can hear that. I can hear that.
And yeah, as you say, Tony Orlando and Dawn.
Right.
It was like Tex-Mex type of.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that kind of feel. I have a CD twofer with Golden Mile and 5 live Kursaals on there,
All right.
both albums. From the live album, I like a couple of the tracks that you co-wrote, Yellow Socks and Pocket Money.
They were on the first Kursaals album,
Yeah,
and weren't recorded uh, amazingly well.
yeah.
I mean, both of those songs are going to be on my anthology,
Oh, okay, great,
which
great.
I've re-recorded the way I originally heard the songs in my head.
Yeah,
So we never managed to record them that way, but um, the arrangements are a little bit more punchy and rocky rather than a bit wimpy.
okay. Well, I'll be excited. I know a lot of fans are once you complete that too, to hear some of that, the re-recorded material. Well, after the Golden Mile tour, you were let go from the band, right?
Yeah, that was very strange because I think by that time Paul and Will decided that um, they wanted to be pop stars. They didn't, country rock, wave it out the window.
Yeah,
I wanted to be, I still wanted to have connections to the roots music,
yeah, yeah.
and they I think they wanted to be pop stars.
Okay, okay,
So we had severe arguments,
okay,
and in the end, they decided that I was no longer necessary.
okay. So it's probably best that you parted ways
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, enter Ed Hollis, who I might note is the brother of Talk Talk's Mark Hollis.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I was a big Talk fan, and sad to hear of his passing a while ago. Uh, and you were asked to join Eddie and the Hot Rods at their next live gig.
That's that was fun. Yeah, I actually drove up to Keele University, which is somewhere near Manchester, and they said, "Oh, here's a few of the closing songs. You just sit in on those, and things will be fine." And so I drove up there, uh, drove back, and we played "Get Out of Denver," "On the Run," um, a couple more of the standards that Gloria, I think,
Okay.
and a couple more of the covers that the Hot Rods used to finish their shows with,
Yeah.
and then drove back to London, and the next gig was the Rainbow Theatre,
Oh, all right.
and you might have seen the photos of what the audience left of the seats.
Yes, I have seen that. Yes. Oh man, I have
It
seen that.
was it was a show, yes.
That just means they had a good time.
Yes. No, they had a great time.
A great time. Wow. Well, I know it's before you joined the band, and no offense, but my favorite Eddie and the Hot Rod song is "Get Across to You." Uh, did you play that one live with the band? Have you played that song? Did you?
I think I played it a couple of times,
Yeah.
as we did as we as soon as we did the the Rainbow Theatre.
Yeah.
2 days later we were off to France to do a little show with um, no, Belgium and France,
Okay.
and where we got thrown in jail again through getting a bit rowdy. And I was thinking, this is what rock and roll bands are
This
like.
is what it's all
This
about.
is this is real. I like this. This is good.
let, let us get to a hotel so we can trash it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Go to take a tip off the Keith Moon School.
yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, but CBS wouldn't let you go from their contract. How did you get around that?
In the end, uh, I had to I had to go to Basing Street Studios with Ed Hollis, and we had about um, 4 hours at midnight one night, and 4 or 5 hours. And he said, and I said, I'm going to play sort of, I'm just going to busk um, 12 or 14, 15 songs, which I was going to make up basically on as I went along, and played them basically on piano, and rudimentary piano, and rudimentary vocals, rudimentary arrangements, and sent the tape to CBS saying, this is my these are my demos. See what you make of those."
Yeah.
And they knew I was taking the piss.
Yeah, they knew
So
it.
they said, "Oh well, we've still got you in the contract. So screw you."
Oh man. Well, you tried. You tried. What do you recall working on the Life on the Line album?
Well, yeah. I mean um, that was when Ed had given me a set of lyrics, and I was I was quite happy to do all the arranging and the and most of the songs for that. I mean, Dave turned out, as it happened, his best ever song, which closed the album, beginning of the end.
Yeah.
Which was an astonishingly good song.
You're right. It is. It really is. Yeah. I go back and listen to that quite a bit.
Yeah. But the rest of them, I just taught the Steve and Paul. I mean, Paul, amazing bass player. He's very, very underrated, I think.
Yeah, I would
But
say so.
Steve and Paul were the rock of the Hot Rods. They were one of the best rhythm sections ever, I think.
Right. Yeah, you have to have that backbone. The rhythm section, like you
quite
said.
solid. I mean, very much in the Iggy and MC5 genre.
Right.
But yeah, they were solid.
Yeah, but I think you guys had more melody, like than Iggy and
That
MC5.
was my influence on the band. I was Ed said, let's get away from R&B. Let's head more for. I mean, Barry was such a pretty guy, and so let's appeal to the girls.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was just saying, oh, all right. Well, I don't know how to appeal to girls, but I'll write you some fast pop rock songs.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Well, and there were a couple of appearances on Top of the Pops too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you enjoy that?
That was yeah. I think that was they managed to get over their MU problems. So I think those were just miming ones.
Okay.
I mean, some of the other TV shows that we did at that time, we did play totally live.
Okay. Recall the North American tour in the fall of '77. Was that your first time to the States?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Was it a bit of a culture shock for you?
The culture shock was the distance between the towns.
Right.
Cities.
Yeah. Right. Everything's spread out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes takes hours. Like here in the Texas, 3 or 4 hours to get to another big city.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, I was we went to Canada first, and that was like the English version of the USA.
Yes, I've heard that. Yes.
And then we went into Canada, and then we went into what's it, Max's. We played
Max's,
Max's, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think we did ourselves justice that first time.
Yeah.
Because we were a bit put off by the kind of ideas that we were hearing, that that, I mean, because most of it was out of the book of the Dogs.
Okay.
And we were far more into the Iggy and the MC5 side of it.
Yeah.
And so we were a bit perturbed by all that. So we never did Max's. We didn't do it justice.
Okay.
But the other New York shows, we killed them.
Okay.
Down CBGB's, and they said, we won't pay you a fee, but you can have an open bar. And by the end of the evening, I think they regretted their decision. They would have been better off paying us a fee.
You drank the bar dry, huh?
Pretty much.
Well, you're opportunist. What can you say? They offered you, right? I mean, you took advantage. Well, out in L.A., you played 3 nights at the Whiskey A Go Go. Can you remember what happened on the roof of the Island building in downtown L.A.?
Oh, that was we did 2 open air shows. One was on the roof,
Uh-huh.
and I thought we played quite nicely, quite restrained,
Yeah.
and suddenly this highway patrol comes up, and I mean the guys in the shower block opposite can't get any work done. Can you cut it?
Can you turn it off? You guys are too loud.
And then we
Oh,
did the truck, back of the truck
yeah.
stuff, which was better.
Oh, it was better. Okay. Okay. Well, back in England, you had moved to Golders Green and next to a synagogue. What happened? What happened?
Um, I don't know. I think they were kind of orthodox, and obviously they saw me. What one of the guys, younger sort of guy, um, decided that I wasn't kosher enough for them, so they managed to uh, smear dog poo over the handle, and threw boulders through the window and things. But
Yeah.
I went round to um, the synagogue on the Saturday, which was not a good idea on my part. So I was giving them a bit of chat, and you I'm sorry. I was just a bit upset that
Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't be,
yeah.
Come on. Oh man. So it wasn't the best move right next to a synagogue, right?
No, no.
In hindsight. Well, the band began to incur some financial problems, the least of which were caused by Ed,
Oh
right?
dear, yes. That was Ed because Life on the Line and Do Anything You Want to Do had been such good sellers for Ireland. They thought Ed was, had golden balls, so they gave him set him up with his own uh, record label. Well, his record label, I suppose, and he gave him a budget. Um, Unfortunately, he was still in charge of the hot rod budget. So once he'd gone through uh, the record label budget, he started borrowing the hot rod budget as well.
Oh man.
So suddenly um, we were told um, you're about £10,000 in debt to
Mm.
Island Records. We want a record,
Yeah.
but they signed a deal with EMI.
Okay.
So they said, well, make a record, and the one good thing is that you can do it at Abbey Road.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So yes, we all pretended we were Paul McCartney walking into Abbey Road.
Yeah.
John Lennon and all that.
Well, one of my favorite Eddie and the Hot Rods tracks is one that you wrote, "Romance in a Used Car Lot."
Oh, that was never really released. That was sort of the demo album for the one after Killer.
Okay.
I wonder who stole that song.
I have a compilation and it's on there. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
on it was on there. So I really like that one. And then I also like making the body respond to the brain. Yeah, like
Oh, right. That's kind of I mean it was like there's if you I was having ideas uh, probably beyond my mental capacity. In that I was reading, Zen and um, about the Buddha, etc., etc., and I was thinking about uh, the meditation affecting uh, the the body.
yeah,
How you could actually sort of almost talk yourself fit, or
right.
talk yourself
Yeah.
not ill. Put it
Like
that way.
mind over matter, mind
Yeah,
over
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, that's where that came from. Okay. Well, you did get to record the album Thriller at Abbey Road.
yes,
Uh, now this was before Michael Jackson's, wasn't it? I think.
yes,
Okay, yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I
Well, I
should have
mean,
sued him.
yeah, yeah. I was gonna. It's too late now. You
Yeah.
should have at the time. Did you guys do a crazy video like that with Vincent Price? You didn't do that.
No, afraid
It,
not.
it was remixed at the Roundhouse. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yes. um, what do you have any recollections of that? Uh,
Well, apart from the fact that we were recording "The Power and the Glory,"
yeah.
and Paul McCartney and Linda McCartney came in, sat down, rolled enormous spliff, and said, "Do you mind if we sit here for a while?" Yeah, feel free.
Right,
Would Linda like to sing on it on our record?
right.
Uh, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
if you're
yeah,
gonna
so
twist our arms, right?
yeah, yeah.
And if you share too, if you share, yeah, then you you can she can sing.
All right, yeah. That
Oh
was.
yeah.
I mean, we were we were flat out off after Paul went to get something to eat.
Yeah, oh, that's a good story. That's well, what happened on what would have been an appearance on Mark Bolan's TV show?
Well, we went up there, and it was a great thrill for us because David Bowie was on the show as well, and we sat around while Mark Bolan was pissing about with getting the right camera angle and the right lighting and the right this and the right sound and the right sparkly stuff. And suddenly it was, um, the union decided that was the day gone. You
Yeah,
know, that was it.
yeah,
So we hadn't recorded our bit.
yeah.
So they said, you can come back next week and do it. Okay, all right. We went back on the train, and luckily David Bowie was in a little compartment, and he invited us to have some food with him, and chat about this and that and the other, and mostly the other. But no, he was. I mean, everybody was totally gobsmacked at
Yeah.
how friendly and how friendly he was.
Right, right. Yeah, I've heard stories about what a prima donna Mark Bolan was.
No, no, not in the slightest.
Yeah.
He
No,
was
not
he
David.
was
No, not David, Mark Bolan.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Mark Bolan, yeah. Not, but not David. Yeah, yeah,
Well, I mean, unfortunately, Mark Bolan got his
yeah.
because the night as he was driving back from Manchester, where it was being filmed,
Yeah,
um, he managed to hit a tree.
yeah, yeah. Wrapped around a tree. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It's a
I'm,
bit
yep.
karma, I
Think
suppose.
it is. I think in a way it is. In a way it is. Well, was there a final straw which led to you leaving the band, or just a culmination of things?
Um, it was it was we were uh, trying to find a manager to uh, actually take care of the business side of it, and try and reduce our debt to Ireland.
Right.
And we had a guy called Harry Maloney. I forget what his um, what his track record was,
Yeah.
but he was a little bit. We didn't see particularly eye to eye. I mean, we did a tour. Uh, I, I I will own up and say, I mean, I'm type 1 diabetic,
Right.
and I was not taking particularly good care of myself. So I was, I was getting quite sick and a bit erratic in my behaviour, shall we put it? We'll put it that way.
Well, that.
And
Go
you
ahead. Go
know,
ahead. Go ahead.
they the rest of the guys said, all right, you better leave and get yourself straightened out. So yeah, we did that. I did that.
Well, we didn't talk earlier about your diabetes, but that leads into my next question. Your issues with diabetes really came to a head when you slipped into a hypoglycemic coma.
Yes, that was for 84, something like 83, 84.
Yeah.
I had not been taking great care of myself. Um, I was still thinking I was I was trying to put a band together at the time with Hugh Gower from the Records
Yes.
and
Yes.
Alan Platt from Wilco Johnson band.
Yeah.
And I was uh, rehearsing quite heavily with them and trying to come up with some songs. And I one lunchtime I fell asleep and didn't wake up until I was in hospital.
Mm, mm. Wow.
So I'd forgotten to have anything to eat,
Gee, right.
and I got found about midnight or something like that.
Wow. So luckily somebody took you to the hospital.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I did it. We'll talk about the recovery period. You
Recovery period was quite strange because uh, I didn't really know. I didn't really know what the immediate past had been.
Yeah.
Um, I found it difficult to speak properly for best part of a month, really. And gradually things it was like my memory had been uh, uh, put through a cheese grater, and everything was totally upside down.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, I sort of got myself back together, and then decided, how am I going to pay for my mortgage? Because I just bought this house in Brixton. So I was trained as a teacher, so I thought I'd better try and remember a bit of physics or a bit of science. So I signed on with. We have this online. It's probably the first, not online so much as TV presentation,
Right.
and tutorials.
Yes.
Like so I signed up for to do a degree course in science, and as I was recalling all the stuff I'd known, I gradually became more and more lucid in my thinking.
Right. But it took some time, like you said.
Yeah. I mean, because it was not quite as demanding as I wanted, I thought I'd better sign on at a proper university.
Yes.
And do a physics course, because I was besotted by elementary particle physics by then.
Okay. My son is majoring in physics at University of Texas.
Oh, right.
He's a freshman, and he's just started. I think he took an advanced placement in that too. I think he did. So anyway, so he's going that way. He's going that course of action. Well,
it is a fascinating subject.
Right. I think that's what he intrigues him about it is.
But you do need a bit of maths.
He's very good at math. So, yeah. Well, what was the idea behind the engineers?
Well, I mean, the original bass player of the Kursaals, who never turned pro with the rest of us, one of my good friends from childhood was called David Hatfield, and he decided, he had a little record label, and he decided that he would like to play on a record with me playing, and so he said, let's get a few South End musicians together, and we'll do a few songs.
Yeah, you released the 12-inch Pompeii Lovers.
That's right. Yes.
In '86, and interesting that you covered the Flamin' Groovy Shake Some Action as a B-side.
Yes, I'm afraid we never did the song that much justice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been one of my favorite songs of all time.
Oh, mine too. Yeah, that was the first one I heard, and then from the band, and then I had to go out and buy everything.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and you got your own recording studio set up in 1987.
Well, yes. I mean, it was it's a home studio.
Yeah.
It was originally just a little 16 track with a bit of a computer aided sampling, and Atari MIDI.
Oh, the Atari, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember Pong. Remember the first video game?
Oh, Pong, yeah.
How rudimentary that was. Oh man, I mean that's like.
But
Oh
I mean,
man.
the one good thing about that is that it fascinated me with computers again, and I made it my business to learn everything I could, and build computers, and well, the PC side of it.
Right.
First time I had a Mac was about 1990
Oh,
something, 1995, 6.
yeah, yeah. Wow, that's way before I had one. Yeah. Well, you even though Eddie and the Hot Rods had pretty much called it a day after the Fish and Chips album, you worked to keep the band's name alive, didn't you?
Well, I mean, we did the odd occasional
Shows.
the occasional uh, um, gig that people would ask us to do.
Yeah.
But once Dave Higgs died,
Yeah.
it seemed a little. I mean, I hate bands that replace all the members of the band and just carry on with the
Right.
the band name.
Right.
That's cheating to me.
Yeah, it is. There's so many bands, even if there's just one original member, I'm not going to go see them. 10cc is one of them. I'll just say they came here to Dallas not long ago. Everybody's all excited. I'm going to the show. I'm going. Graham Goldman is the only original member, and all the rest are gone. It's like, I don't care how much they sound like the original. It's not the original band.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel. If you couldn't see them in their heyday, I don't want to go and spend all that money. But
Well, it seems so pointless to do that. I mean, it's only a money spinner.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
If I think a lot of people, they just have this need to be entertained. They want to go out to a show. They want to go, get dressed up and go out there. You can hear the music sitting at home on your computer, or
Oh yeah.
if you want to do that, not spend all that money.
But I mean, the problem is that there are not only, I mean, covers bands are okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how everybody learned. But
Yeah.
tribute bands,
Tribute.
I hate it.
Oh, me, I do too. I'm glad you said that. I do too. And there's so many.
Yeah,
There-
yeah.
Oh,
I
there's
mean,
too.
I don't care how good they are,
Yeah.
how much like the original are.
Right. Right. Exactly.
They haven't got it.
They
It's
they haven't. They haven't. And you missed them the first time. Oh well. That's how I look at
oh, sure.
it. You snooze, you lose. Uh, but anyway, I was going to ask you about you and Jim Miller began working on songs that would end up being the album G2, released in 2000.
Right, yeah. Yeah, what can I say about that? Jim was a really good singer who was very unfortunate. I mean, he had a voice that would could have fronted quite a few famous bands. I mean, he what his most famous band was, Blue Russians or something like that, who did the Marquee a few times.
Yeah.
But he had a lovely voice and never got the break. Unfortunately, G2 never did it for him either. But some of the songs on that record, I'll maybe a couple will go on to the Anthology
Okay.
one.
Okay. And you'll re-record those too?
Yes, I mean, Jim unfortunately managed to die a few years back through a really horrible disease, whose name I've forgotten, but multiple sclerosis a similar sort of thing to that, and he was in, you know, a lot of pain before he, you know, escaped.
Okay. A degenerative type of.
Yeah.
Well, Paul Shuttleworth called you and asked if you wanted to play on 2001 tour, the Naughty Rhythms tour.
Yeah, that wasn't too great.
It wasn't. Okay.
You know, we were. I mean, it was like it was nice to go back into the theatres again.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the same.
Yeah.
It was I mean the feel goods were pretty good, and was it Jippy or was it no, Jippy had died as well, and feel goods were good, but it was just Lee.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, the Canned Heat just had Fito, I think, on drums, and I think that was and John Otway was John Otway. And
Then came Eclectic, released in 2012. Were you happy with that, the way that one turned out?
pretty much, I had, you know, I had some pretty good songs on that. Songs on that were mixed by my good friend Steve Forward in Paris.
Oh, okay.
And he's going to do the mixing job for the Anthology
Oh, is he? Okay.
sessions.
Okay. Okay.
And he was a the house engineer at studio free range studios in Covent Garden,
Oh, okay.
and which is where the Hot Rods did the Curse of the Hot Rods.
Okay. That's
So
really
you know, I got to be, you know, we got to be quite close. So
okay.
he's in Paris. He escaped. He escaped.
He got away.
Yeah.
That's fun. Yeah, doing these, I see I find a lot of expatriates, you know, in Germany, Spain, France, yeah, all
Yeah,
around.
I mean, I last time I went out to when my brothers were in LA,
Uh-huh.
I went out to visit them and managed to bump. Well, I made a call to John Wicks, who was the musician who teamed up with Will Birch to write the rip-off of Do Anything You Want to Do.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. Uh,
And you know, we met up in LA and had a good time criticizing Will Birch.
panning him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so are your brothers still out in LA?
No, my youngest brother Stuart is still in the Hollywood Hills.
Okay, okay.
My other brother is in Connecticut.
Oh,
Just I forget the name of the town as well.
okay, okay. So they're on opposite ends of the country.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Do when was the last time you got to you saw them?
Well, we do them on Zoom.
Oh,
You know,
you do the Zoom.
on
Okay,
Zoom
okay.
and WhatsApp. It's
Yeah, yeah. When we're
You know, Andrew and his family generally come to Europe for
oh,
summer holidays,
okay,
so
okay,
I meet up with him.
okay. So you get to see him what once
Yeah,
a
yeah.
yeah. Okay, well that's good. And you guys staying in contact. That's good. All right. Well, coming to a close here, Graeme, can you think of anything else you'd like to? Well, let me ask you about the progress on the anthology. How's it coming?
Well, I've got I uh want to do 24, 25 songs. I mean, I couldn't, I've got about, 50, 60, 70 to choose from. Not all have been recorded.
Okay,
And, some of them aren't even on my website.
okay,
Um, some of the later ones aren't that good, but one or two are deserving of putting in there. I will have the ones that I actually like the best, not
right.
the ones that other people like the best.
Well,
So
well,
it's my prerogative to
you
choose
you
my
pick and
my
choose.
my best work.
Well, I think that's what it should be about. I think so, because that's what you put your heart and soul into, and that's what really rings true with you. So I think the fans will appreciate that too.
Well, yes, I mean I'm hoping that I'm doing it all in my little studio and um, having not many other people play, but um, the odd the odd guest will appear to do sax or piano or something, which I'm not that good at.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't play sax to save my life. Can't play mouth, can't play harmonicas to save my life.
I can't play any instrument, so you know. uh, well, do you have a projected finish time, or do you?
I was hoping it might be ready to go early next year, but
Oh,
chances are it won't be.
okay,
I tend to procrastinate a lot.
yeah. Hey,
But
I'm with
I was going to do a few live shows just to just to uh, so I could try out some of the songs in 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 a live situation, but only a very restricted three-piece
okay,
type of thing. I thought I'd get either the original Hot Rods rhythm section with Paul and Steve,
yeah.
or maybe Alan Galaxy, who does work with Spiz Energy.
His energy, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That would be good if you could get rope those guys in, yeah, and do that. That would be nice. That would be nice. Okay, well, that's something to look forward to. Definitely. And yeah, don't rush it. It's got to come
No,
when it's
it will be. That will be my final offering to the world.
okay. All right. Or so you say. Wait, and wait and see, right?
Well, unless suddenly Stevie Nicks asks me to join her band.
Hey, stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we made it happen, Graeme. I'm glad that we worked it out. And sorry
Oh,
about your
it was my
computer.
pleasure.
Yeah.
I enjoyed talking to you. You were really knowledgeable about my history, and
Well,
I thank you for that.
well, I try to do a little research. I try to, don't just jump into it blindly, try to do that and take an interest in it. And it's got to be musicians that I enjoy their material or what they've done before. It's It's got to be that, because I'm not going to be fake about it and interview somebody who I've never heard before, or I don't like their.
Well, yeah, it's. I mean, I've done too
Yeah.
many of. Well, what's your favorite song then? Or
Yes,
how
right.
did you start? How did you?
You're
How did
right,
you start?
right, right. I like to try to have creative
Yeah,
questions.
yeah. I mean,
Try.
it was very, very enjoyable.
Well, good, good. And that's what I want it to be. That's what I want it to be. All right. Well, Graham, all the best to you, and keep on keeping on, as they say. Right. And I will send you a copy of this once I get it edited a little bit. And then you can post it on your socials
Okay.
let
Thank you
everybody
very
know.
much.
All right. And
I'm glad.
all the best to you, and you have a good week, okay?
And you.